areas of life that we should have bitachon, trust in Hashem. And the first area we need to have bitachon is life itself. Hashem gave us our lives, and yeah. Where? Oh, it's on the wrong page here. Sorry, I said what page is it? 127. Oh, 127. I do that every time. 127. But Hashem is going to provide for us everything we need. So a person's sick, he should have trust in Hashem that Hashem gave him a certain amount of time that he's going to live, and he could have trust in Hashem that he's going to live that amount of time. Whether he's going to have a healthy life or not a healthy life, it's all dependent on Hashem. So if a person wants to improve that, his main focus should be in davening to Hashem and having bitachon. We said even though, what we finished up 2 weeks ago, even though all of this is from Hashem, a person's life, doesn't mean he should drink poison, and that, Hashem said I'm going to live 120 years, and I'm 68, and I drink poison, and everything's going to be fine. That's not how Hashem made the world. We have to also guard our health, and we're not allowed to put ourselves in dangerous situations. And we're going to talk about the 2 reasons why we're not allowed to put ourselves in dangerous situations. Now, what is exactly a dangerous situation? That will depend who you ask. You have to ask your local Orthodox rabbi. You mentioned, right. Eating not healthy probably every day could be considered dangerous. I imagine smoking would be considered dangerous. I heard some rabbis that say skiing is too dangerous to do, because a lot of people that like ski into trees and die. You could judge like everything. Maybe even skydiving. Is skydiving dangerous? On one hand, you're jumping out of a plane. On the other hand, they have all these safety precautions and all these parachutes. Like you don't hear so often of people dying. So exactly what is considered dangerous? That depends. But the Noda Yehuda writes, I think even hunting is dangerous to do. But you shouldn't go to certain parts of. I lived in Baltimore. There were definitely certain parts of Baltimore that was considered dangerous to go into. And I had a friend who got carjacked over there. It was very a little scary. It's actually he's one of these guys that's one of these like spaced out geniuses. So he didn't realize what was happening, so it didn't bother him so much. Some guy came up to him. He's like, "Give me your car." And he's like, "Oh man." Yeah, basically. If it could happen to anyone, it was kind of good that it happened to him because he didn't freak out. Okay, so page 127. So now, why don't we put ourselves into dangerous situations, even though that Hashem is in charge? Oshayamos. The first reason is a person could die. V'yahu hamemis atato, and it's considered like he killed himself. If you person puts himself in a dangerous situation and he dies, it's like he committed suicide. Hashem will judge him like he killed somebody else. Even though when somebody kills somebody else, really Hashem, it was with Hashem's permission in a way, and with his gzeira. That means nobody can kill somebody else unless Hashem wants that person to die at that situation, right? If a person gets murdered, Hashem, for whatever reason, Hashem wanted that person to die at that time. Now, on the other hand, the murderer still gets punished, right? Hashem still told the murderer, do not murder this individual, and he did it anyway, so he's going to get punished. But if somebody died, that means Hashem wanted them to die at that particular situation. Now, he didn't have to die through a murderer, so the fact that that person decided to murder, he's going to get punished. A person is not allowed to kill somebody, but Amru, it says lo sirtach. So it sounds like from here that if a person commits suicide, he violates the prohibition of murder, the regular prohibition of murder. A murderer, the closer he is to the victim, the more punishment he receives. It says, Al Radfo Becherev Achiv V'Shiches Rachamov. It talks about Esav, who is our brother or cousin, that he pursued the Jewish people, Edom, Al Radfo Becherev Achiv V'Shiches, that the nation of Edom, for pursuing his brother, meaning us, our cousins, with the sword and suppressing his mercy. That a person who is close to somebody else, a close relative, naturally has some mercy. So if you kill somebody who's related to you, who's very close to you, then that's a bigger punishment. That's a more severe sin because you overcame your natural mercy for that person. We learn that from Edom. Edom should have had a natural mercy for the Jewish people because we're related. He's a descendant of Esav, we're a descendant of Yaakov, and nevertheless he pursued us, so he got punished more. And furthermore, so somebody kills himself, his punishment will be much greater, because the person is closer to himself than anybody else. This is like a person who commits suicide. It's comparable to one who his master gives him a mission to guard something for a certain amount of time, to guard a palace, to guard whatever for a certain amount of time. And the master tells him, says, don't leave this place until I send my messenger to tell you that the mission's been complete. The servant gets impatient. He sees the messenger's not coming. He leaves before the master comes back. Or the messenger comes back. And his master gets very angry. And he punishes him severely. Somebody who kills himself, somebody who kills himself, he is abandoning his mission that Hashem gave him. And the same thing when a person puts himself into danger. Hashem put all of us in this world to do a specific mission. We all have different strengths, we all have different weaknesses, we all have different challenges we have to overcome. We've all been born in different times and in different places. And each one of us has a specific goal, a specific mission, a specific thing that we're supposed to rectify that nobody else could do. Rav Elyashiv, Rav Chaim Kanievsky can't do the mission that Hashem gave us individually because we're all different. So if a person kills himself, then he is abdicating his mission. He is not doing what Hashem wants him to do. He had something to accomplish and he gave up. As they say, suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. But in general, someone who does chas v'shalom commit suicide, we this bad things in halacha, we do generally mourn for them because we assume that they had some mental issue or something like that. And if you look in the halacha, you see that we find like every excuse that the person really regretted it at the last minute after he did it. There was I saw an interview with a guy who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge to kill himself. There's something like 7 people in history survived the jump from the Golden Gate Bridge. And he says that every single one of them that they asked after they jumped off to kill themselves, the first thing they thought of after they left the bridge was, whoops, they regretted doing it. Every single one of them. Okay. Now, so we're talking about not putting ourselves into danger. So that's the first reason. The first reason is you put yourself into danger, you're not being careful with your life, and it's like committing suicide, because you might die. You go to downtown Baltimore, you might not come out alive. We find the story about Shmuel. How can I go that Shaul will kill me? Shmuel was the prophet at the time, and King Shaul had not killed the king of Amalek, and the kingship was going to be taken away from him. So Hashem instructed Shmuel to go and anoint King David as the next king of Israel. So as you can imagine, that's a very dangerous mission. So Shaul says, Shmuel says, Shaul's going to kill me. If I go appoint another king in place of Shaul, then he's going to kill me. That's very dangerous. So what did he do? What did Shmuel do? He said, Shmuel said to Hashem, how am I supposed to go and appoint King David king? Shaul's going to kill me. And we find that wasn't a lack of trust in Hashem. Even though God told Shmuel, go and anoint King David, Shmuel said, how am I supposed to do that? He's going to kill me. And we don't find that was considered a lack of trust in God that Shmuel said that, because that was a normal thing to be afraid of. He wasn't supposed to put himself into that situation. And we find, in fact, that God's response to Shmuel, it was that his carefulness in this of protecting his life was actually something very praiseworthy. He told him, you know what you should do? You should take a calf, and when you go to Beis Lechem, you should say, I'm coming to bring a sacrifice. So Hashem gave Shmuel a way to get out of the situation. Shaar, and you look over there. Now, if Shmuel really didn't have enough bitachon, Hashem would have told him, what are you worried about? I'm the one who kills and causes life, and I smite and I heal. Adomalo, or something like that. When Moshe told Hashem he didn't want to be the messenger for the Jewish people, it's very difficult for him to speak, right? Moshe had a speech impediment. So what did Hashem respond to Moshe? Misam pela adam, or mi yasam ilem, or cherish, or bikech, or iver. Who is that that causes someone to be mute or deaf, or to be healthy, or to be blind? Meaning Hashem responded to Moshe when he was worried that he didn't speak properly. That Hashem said, "I'm the one who controls all that. What are you worried about?" But over here, Hashem didn't say that to Shmuel. Hashem said, "Oh, you're right. You should say like you're bringing a sacrifice, and that'll protect you." V'im Shmuel im tom tzibkaso lo hekoli kanas b'siba ketanos b'siba sasakana. Now, if we find that Shmuel, who was perfect in his righteousness, right? He didn't say, "Oh, I'm Shmuel Hanavi. I'm a big tzaddik. I'm going to have trust in. I'm going to put myself into this very dangerous situation, but I'll be tough and it'll be okay." He did not do that. Right? And also Shmuel, not only was he going to put himself in a dangerous situation, he was commanded by Hashem to do it. So we have here one of the biggest tzaddikim of all time. Hashem told him to do it, and nevertheless Shmuel said, "Maybe I shouldn't be going here." All the more so, so us, if we just want to go and put ourselves in a dangerous situation when we are not commanded from Hashem, of course we shouldn't be doing it. Let me just see. Let's just do one more paragraph. So that was one reason we don't put ourselves in a dangerous situation is because we might die, and Hashem tells us not to do that, and that's like committing suicide, and that's the regular prohibition of murder. Now, what's the other reason we shouldn't put ourselves in a dangerous situation? Oh, maybe Hashem will help us. And we'll lose our merits. If we put ourselves in a dangerous situation and Hashem miraculously saves us, that can take away many merits. Maybe he has a lot of schar for mitzvahs that he's done. When he's going to lose his merit because Hashem did a miracle for him. So if Hashem doesn't do miracles for everybody, you must have been a very holy person that Hashem did a miracle, and now he's going to take away those merits which you earned. Like it says, a person should not put himself in a dangerous situation and say, Hashem will do a miracle for me. Because maybe Hashem won't do a miracle for him. And the Gemara says, and if Hashem does do a miracle for you, it's going to take away your merits. Yaakov said, I became small because of all the kindness that Hashem did for me. My merits have been diminished by all the kindness and by all the acts of goodness you have performed for your servant. So we don't put ourselves, even though that our lives ultimately are in the hands of Hashem, and we have a certain amount of years that we're supposed to live, we can't do dangerous things and just drink poison, drink hemlock, and say, "Oh, Hashem says I'm going to live a certain amount of time." We can't just go driving through downtown Baltimore or Camden and assume everything is going to be fine. One, because we might die, and then it will be like we committed suicide. And two, Hashem might save us. He might miraculously make the gun jam when we're getting held up. But He did a miracle for us, and it's going to take away our merits. So we're commanded to be careful and to guard our lives very, very carefully.